and a very warm welcome. This is Primetime News on TV1. It's the 21st of November 2023. Bringing you the news, I am Theruni Karunaratna. Before we head on to your stories in detail, let's first take a look at your headlines for tonight. Mahinda Rajapakse explains why he will support the budget. Chaos in Parliament after opposition leader comments on the Supreme Court ruling. State Minister Sanath Nishantha snatches Sajid's papers. ICC says Sri Lanka can continue to compete internationally. Cabinet green light to send the draft of the Broadcasting Regulatory Commission bill to the legal draftman. On to those stories in detail now. The second reading of the 2024 budget was passed in Parliament.
The second reading of the 2024 budget was passed by a majority of 45 votes in Parliament. 222 votes were cast in favour while 77 votes were cast against it. The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and the United National Party voted in favour while former President Maithripala Sirisena and Dayasri Jayasekara voted against it. SLPP's Dumina Disanayaka voted in favour. The Samiki Jana Balawegaya and Jatika Jana Balawegaya voted against it.
විසර්ජන 50 කෙටුම්පත 2024 දෙවන වර කියවීම පක්ෂව ඡන්ද 122යි විපක්ෂව ඡන්ද 77යි ඒ අනුව දෙවැනි වර කියවීම සම්මතයි.
The leader of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and former President Mahinda Rajapakse and SLPP parliamentarian Rohitha Abegunawardena commented on their reasons to support the 2024 budget.
We do not have two avenues. We're always on the path of the people. Therefore, we will support the budget proposal that will not further burden the people. We are not doing so because there are no shortcomings in the budget or because there are no areas that need to be corrected. We believe that the country's economy should rise along with its people, and soon. This budget was prepared by taking the previous budget into account. We must appreciate the consistency here. A major allegation was made against us in the House with regard to the economy. We reject all of those allegations. We recall the conduct of those who are now calling for the civic rights to be revoked. Should I reach into the mud simply because they are slinging mud and allegations? Therefore, those who are slinging mud also have mud on their hands. If one is calling to do away with the rights of another, that person must at least work to ensure the rights of the people. We have fulfilled our duties towards ensuring the right to live. We ask that those who want to take away those rights understand how hard it is to protect them. Many have forgotten the powers of the legislature as well. Even if we go back 2 decades, all financial management decisions were taken subject to the approval of parliamentarians. In such a situation, one cannot simply say that those decisions were made individually. If one is assuming that the SLPP will not vote and will work to defeat the budget, then that person is dreaming. That is something done by those representing the opposition. An invitation was extended to take the country forward earlier. Are we going to hand it over to them? They commented on the economic hitman. Who are they slinging mud at? There are only 6 MPs besides the opposition leader. Where are the senior MPs? With the water bottle in hand, he says that he is not afraid. Those who fear the most are those who always say that they are not afraid. A person who is afraid of ghosts always screams when passing a burial ground. That is because of fear. Here's when he becomes afraid. When the election results were released, I was on the phone with Gotabaya Rajapakse. Then he gets a call. From whom? It was Sajid Premadasa. The call was on speakerphone and the fearless Sajith Premadasa pleaded not to harm him and that he would step down from politics. He said he would photograph the wildlife. He said that he was in debt. He was told that there will be no harm and to continue to engage in politics. The fearless opposition leader ran faster than Susantika at the Aragalaya.
Parliament proceedings on the final day of the second reading of the budget for the year 2024 were delayed for a few minutes due to chaos in the House following a statement made by opposition leader Sajith Premadasa. Now, the opposition leader raised a question on the Supreme Court ruling on Sri Lanka's bankruptcy, which cited that fundamental rights were violated through economic decisions taken from 2019 to 2022. Members of the Sri Lanka Poddu Jana Peramuna protested against this statement. While the parliamentarians were protesting, State Minister Sanath Nishantha was seen taking away the document containing the opposition leader's statement.
The parliamentarians of the government are yelling when I asked if they will compensate the 22 million people in the country. There are school students watching. That's good. These are the people who ruin the future of the children and the lives of the people. Do not let resolutions be brought to Parliament against Mahinda Rajapakse, who ended the 30-year-long war with the LTTE. What are you trying to do? Please put my picture up on the screen. An amount of nearly $7.9 billion from the dollar reserves at the end of 2019 were used up to maintain the rupee value against the dollar at a low level.
ඩොලර් සංචිතයෙන් ඩොලර් මිලියන 7900කට ආසන්න මුදලක් මෙයා තමයි නිදන් හාරපු නිදන් හොරා පොයින්ට් බෝඩ් එකක් නැහැ නඩු තීන්දුවේ 76 වන පිටුවේ සඳහන් පරිදි මෙම බදු නංගි හොරකම් කරපුවා තියන්න නිසා නංගි හොරකම් කරපුවා තියන්න කරුණාකරලා මන්ත්‍රීතුමාලා යන්න හානිය සඳහා වගකීම් යුතු වඩකරුවන්ට වග උත්තර කරුවන්ට නංගි හොරකම් කරපුවා තියන්න නංගි හොරෙන් සල්ලි අතු වහපුවා තියන්න ඒකත් තියන්න
කරුණාකරලා යන්න සභාවේ වැඩ කටයුතු විනාඩි 5කට නතර කරනු ලැබේ.
රාජපක්ෂලගේ බලු කුක්කන්ට රාජපක්ෂලගේ කටුකන බල්ලන්ට කොච්චර රිදෙනවද කියලා බලා ගන්න.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ස්ථාවර නියෝග 146 ප්‍රකාරව මා වෙත පැවරී ඇති බලතලන්.
According to the powers vested with me as per Standing Order 146, I stress that no footage of happenings within the chamber should be recorded using electronic devices and uploaded on social media. If any parliamentarian disobeys these orders and proceeds to do so, strict action will be taken against them.
ඉවරයක හැසිරෙන්නේ නම් ඔවුන් සම්බන්ධයෙන් දැඩි විනයානුකූල පියවර ගන්නා බව තව වැඩි දුරටත් අවධාරණය කරමි.
ඔබතුමා අනුමත කරපු ප්‍රශ්නයක් අපේ විපක්ෂ නායකතුමා අසමෙන් හිටියා.
Our opposition leader was raising a question that had been approved by you. You approved it. Now, while you were talking like this, a group of government MPs and MP Sanath Nishantha came here and grabbed the files that contained many valuable documents. Please take necessary steps by taking a look at the CCTV footage. Previously, parliamentarian Ajit Manna Peruma was penalized. Please take steps similar to that. In my 35 years of being a parliamentarian, I have never witnessed anything of this sort. This is very shameful. We will investigate this matter. You will be held responsible for what happened right now. That day you penalized parliamentarian Ajit Manna Peruma on the spot. That day he committed an offence for which I had to penalize him immediately. Do the government MPs have the right to grab files like that? That's all we have to ask. We will take steps in this regard. We will investigate this incident and take suitable decisions against those responsible. Parliamentarian Sanath Nishanta grabbed the file which contained question 27-2, which I had raised, and handed it over to parliamentarian Samara Vikrama from the Polonnaruwa district, who took it to some other place within the chamber. All this happened as the Prime Minister was watching. What are the steps that will be taken against this incident? Do I not have the right to raise question 27-2? The opposition leader can read out only one page. You cannot ask questions and provide answers like a Jataka story. Only one page is allowed.
දැන් සභාවේ වැඩ කටයුතු කරගෙන යන්න අපි. ඔබතුමා කතා කරන්න එන. ප්‍රශ්න නෑනේ. ඔබතුමා
හතරෙන් එකට දුන්නු නඩු තීන්දුව. ඒ නිසා
හරි සභානායක
කතානායකතුමනි
ඔබතුමාගේ ප්‍රශ්නේ ඉදිරිපත් කළා.
මගේ ප්‍රශ්නේ අතරතුර ඔබතුමා ඉඩ දුන්නා එක් එක්කෙනාට point of order ඉදිරිපත් කරලා මගේ ප්‍රශ්නයට බාධා කරන්න. කරුණා කරලා මයික් එක ඔෆ් කරන්නත් එපා ස්ක්‍රීන් එක ඔෆ්.
I must point out how you let several parliamentarians disrupt my question through a point of order. Please do not turn off the mic or the screen. I must tell you all that I am not afraid of any one of you. I am ready to face anyone by myself. Come and face me if you can. All these people are so cunning.
එතන රීති ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑනේ ඒක සභාපති විපක්ෂ නායකතුමා. සභානායකතුමා නලින් බණ්ඩාර මන්තුමා.
Parliamentarian Nalin Bandara recorded all of this. Is that even allowed? Please launch an investigation in this regard.
ඒ වීඩියෝ රෙකෝඩ් කරපු හින්දා තමයි.
We now have proof of what happened thanks to the recording. Sanath Nishanta grabbed the file from me. You gave a decision saying that we cannot record what happens in Parliament. What is this? That is exactly why this situation arose. I was watching. What situation? That one time parliamentarians threw chili powder in Parliament was also caught on video thanks to a recording that was made. I must point out that unfortunately, instead of utilizing time wisely regarding the budget debates during these few days, time was wasted with no useful discussion taking place. I raised this question with the intention of bringing back all the looted money into the country and capturing those behind it all. I did him a favor. State Minister Semasinghe, I am not afraid of anyone. We are not cowards. We are not afraid of anyone. If our opposition leader makes accusations against individual parliamentarians by mentioning their names, that means my parliamentary privileges are being violated right now. I make a special request for you to look into this matter and clarify if there is any truth or falsity to these accusations.
Parliamentarian S.M. Marikar addressed a media briefing organised by the Samagi Jana Balawega.
අරගලයේ තේමාව තමයි ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණය තීන්දුවක් විදිහට දීලා තියෙන්නේ.
The theme of the Aragalaya is the Supreme Court ruling. This is a fundamental rights application and the next course of action must be taken by the President. He must appoint a presidential commission to investigate and seize their assets and imprison them. Instead of that, what is the President doing? After returning from the Maldives, he first attended the birthday of Mahinda Rajapakse, who is responsible for the collapse of the economy. It was at Namal Rajapakse's residence. At a time when the President must appoint a commission against them, he is celebrating a birthday with them. This confirms that he is a president of the Rajapakses.
කටයුතු කිරීම හරහා මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? රාජපක්ෂලාගේ රැකවලා ඔහු බව සනාථ කරමින් පවතිනවා.
Sri Lanka's Cabinet of Ministers reached a decision last night to impose new laws in order to regulate electronic media. Now, this was after the bill for the establishment of the Broadcasting Regulatory Commission, which came under strong criticism in the recent past, was taken up for discussion at the Cabinet meeting. Cabinet spokesperson and Minister Bandulu Gunawardena told reporters that approval was given to the resolution to direct the legal draftsman to prepare a draft bill based on the fundamental draft for the establishment of the Broadcasting Regulatory Commission.
විද්‍යුත් විකාශනඥයන්ගේ
Several changes were made to the bill based on the views obtained by the Broadcasters Guild and other parties. The fundamental draft was prepared and I presented it to the Cabinet for legal advice on drafting the bill. The Cabinet of Ministers granted approval to the resolution to direct this to the legal draftsman to prepare a draft bill based on the aforementioned fundamental draft for the Broadcasting Regulatory Commission.
නියමන කොමිෂන් සභා පනත පිළිබඳ
What is the new piece of legislation that Sri Lanka is trying to introduce for the media? Newsfirst earlier revealed a document that was prepared by the cabinet-appointed subcommittee led by Justice Minister Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapakse and comprises of Ministers Bandula Gunawardena, Nimal Siripala de Silva, Kehelia Rambukwala and Manusha Nanayakara as members. The proposed establishment of a broadcasting regulatory commission via a new piece of legislation includes clauses that will allow to cancel licenses issued to electronic media institutions, suspend the said licenses, as well as arrest, imprison and fine journalists, while also allowing to raid media institutions. The Secretary to the Ministry of Media and Director General of Telecommunication will serve as ex officio members of the Broadcasting Regulatory Commission. The other 3 members will be appointed to the Broadcasting Regulatory Commission by the President, subject to approval from the Constitutional Council. It is also the President who will be appointing the Chairman of the Commission. In addition, the President will have the power to remove any of the 5 members at any given time, and all he has to do is give notice to the Constitutional Council of his move. The objective of the Broadcasting Regulatory Commission is also to ensure that broadcasting services shall provide people true and accurate information as guaranteed by the Constitution. According to the country's cabinet spokesperson, a further amended document will be sent to the legal draftsman over the new piece of legislation as criticism over the proposal mounts. The Young Journalists Association expressed views on the matter.
Why are they trying to introduce a broadcasting regulatory commission? The main reason is the mounting criticism against the government via the mainstream media. The government failed to solve the issues in the country and they are trying to end criticism against them. They are trying to bring a new law to penalize the journalists and media heads. The government is trying to introduce oppressive laws to cover up their incompetence. They are trying to silence the people.
The lawyers for Truth and Justice also commented on this.
Why
is the government trying to introduce a broadcasting regulatory commission while there are other pressing issues in the country? Was it the television channels that led the country to bankruptcy? Did they bring the economy spiraling down? This is a time when the people have rejected the ruler and the electronic media has also understood their role. Media institutions that think about the country and their duty have taken this task on themselves. The government is aware that the next year is an election year. So what are they trying to do? They need to silence the reports against them. For this, they are introducing a broadcasting regulatory commission.
The Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposed electricity sector reforms bill, and the new bill will be gazetted and presented in Parliament for approval.
The Cabinet granted approval to implement a plan to restructure the CEB. We need the private sector support for it. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposed electricity sector reforms bill and it will be presented in Parliament for approval. With regard to the electricity tariff, we will be looking at how to reduce it at the next tariff amendment and also reduce our costs. We hope to work towards that.
MP Charita Herath commented on the proposed bill for electricity sector reforms.
This is very serious. The CEB owns power plants, property, reservoirs, cables and other assets. They are trying to bring in reforms to a massive process involving the electricity sector, like moving a vase from one place to another. The interim cabinet of this interim government should not control resources of the country just for the sake of doing so. If I ask what mandate the government has to take such measures, no one will have an answer. They shouldn't involve the Adani Group and reach agreement simply because the Indian government says so. Article 44 of the proposed bill for electricity sector reforms has a plethora of technical and legal issues. They are trying to do away with the Sri Lanka Electricity Act, while the agreements for power generation with the private plants still exist. Some of the agreements can be violated through this. The agreements are being moved without the approval. That also may lead to issues.
This is the stance of the Ceylon Electricity Employees Union.
Even if this bill is passed, we will not let it be executed. As the Ceylon Electricity Employees Union and Trade Union Collective, we took a decision to defeat this. We will take the necessary steps to do so. The government is planning on splitting the CEB into 14 parts. The Tata company will be handed over 4 distribution systems. LECO will be given another section. The transmission section will be given to Adani. Ranil is looking to gather funds for the next election. This is not the personal property of Kanchana, Akila Viraj or Ranil. Is this not a crime?
Teams from the Gum at the Door-to-Door movement have been travelling across the country for the past 2 weeks. Today, on day 15 of the program, our teams visited villages in the Hambantota, Batiklo and Mathale districts.
සති හමාර මේ ගැටලා එහා පැත්තට ගිහපු කට්ටිය මෙහා පැත්තට එන්න බෑ මේ පැත්තේ කට්ටිය එහා පැත්තට යන්න ඒ පාලම දැන් ඉදුණු කට්ටියමුත් අබලංග නැතිනවා මේක දැන් කඩාන කියලා තියෙන්නේ මේ කැඩුවොත් අපිට කොහොමද එහා පැත්තට මෙහා පැත්තට යන්න ක්‍රමයක් ඇත්තෙම නැහැ මේක යඩලා ඉතින් යන්නේ නැහැ මේ ගම තිබුණාට කුඹුරු යායවල ඔක්කොම මෙහෙ තියෙන්නේ බර වාහන ඔක්කොම යන කාලේට හරි ගැටලුවක් මේ පාලම අස්සන නෙල්ල කාලේට වහිනකොට එක්ක අස්සන ඒකට තියාගෙන ඉන්න ඕන නැත්නම් මෙහෙට ගේන්න විදිහන්නේ එක්ක අතරමඟ ඒක විනාශ වෙයි මෙතන මොනවා හරි වුණොත් බයිසිකලයකට එහෙම යන්න බෙදාස මමත් ගහගෙන යන්න ගියා බයිසික යන්න.
These are the voices of the 400 families in Ihala Arawala, Mathale. When the government, the teams visited the people living here, they took us to this location. According to the residents of the village, this bridge had collapsed 6 years ago. The people living here are battered by economic issues and they cannot afford their medicine or provide a proper education to their children. With no proper roads to travel on, these people are helpless. The Gamadda team in Batiklo met with the people there and spoke with them about their issues. This is the Nellur village located in the Mammune divisional secretariats. Many residents here are farmers. These people have been suffering from a severe lack of clean drinking water for as long as they can remember. The threat of wild elephants here is getting worse with each passing day. This is the Surya Pokuna village in Hambantota.
Mama tine podi nimasaka e nimase lighting ganna lampuak pattu karagena e lampu tel ganna berunu pol tel pahanak pattu karagena emat berunu karugolem inna dawas tiyenawa. Ithin me api sayama siyelu denatama wadiya tiyenne me parawal hariyata naha. Kisima saranak naha me ඇවිල්ලා හොයන්නේ බලන්නේ නෑ කනවද බොනවද ඉන්නවද
දැන් අපි මේකේ අවුරුදු ගානක් ජීවත් වෙනවා ඒ ජීවත් වෙන්නේ මේ විදිහට දුක් විඳගෙන වහින කාලේට කොහොමවත් මේ පාරවල යන්න බෑ.
The Gamadda door-to-door team that visited the villages in the Hambantota district met with the people there to inquire into their issues. This is a village that 350 families call home. They can no longer bear the cost of living. They also have no access to clean drinking water. The 7th phase of the Gamadda door-to-door program will continue for the people with the people.
Gamadda, made in Sri Lanka.
Newsfirst, with the people.
RM Parks, a US petroleum products distributor, signed an agreement with the BOI to bring Shell products to Sri Lanka. RM Parks, a US petroleum products distributor, signed an agreement with the Board of Investment for $110 million to bring Shell products to Sri Lanka. The BOI, in a post on X, formerly known as Twitter, said the RM Parks and Shell collaboration will operate 200 fuel stations and provide services of mini supermarkets with EV charging facilities. Earlier this year, an agreement was signed at the President's office between the government of Sri Lanka and RM Parks, marking a significant step towards securing a long-term contract for the importation, storage, distribution and sale of petroleum products in the country. RM Parks will be the fourth supplier to enter the domestic market and will operate under the Shell branding. Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Wijesekara said earlier that they signed a 20-year agreement to import, distribute and sell petroleum products through 150 fuel stations allocated from the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. The International Cricket Council Board has decided that Sri Lanka can continue to compete internationally both in bilateral cricket and ICC events. The ICC board met today in Ahmedabad, India. The International Cricket Council Board met today and confirmed the terms of the suspension of Sri Lanka cricket. After hearing representation from SLC, the ICC board decided that Sri Lanka can continue to compete internationally both in bilateral cricket and ICC events after being suspended recently for breaching its obligations as a member, in particular the requirement to manage its affairs autonomously and without government interference. However, funding to SLC will be controlled by the ICC, and the ICC board confirmed Sri Lanka will no longer host the ICC Under-19 Men's Cricket World Cup 2024, which will now be held in South Africa. Sri Lanka Cricket Chairman Shammi Silva had also attended the ICC board meeting in India. At the same time, the Chief of Selectors at Sri Lanka Cricket, Pramod Devikramasinghe, was summoned to the Special Investigation Unit for the prevention of offences relating to sports. This is to inquire about a recent statement he made. Health sector trade unions say that it appears that the CID is evading arresting the mastermind behind the procurement of fake immunoglobulin vaccines. They expressed these views at a media briefing held in Colombo today.
The officials arrested yesterday are low-level officers. In court, the businessman who was arrested is saying that he is only a small fish in the game and that the big fish are inside the Ministry of Health. Why is attention not being focused on these big fish? That is the issue that we have. The allegations against these officers are over issues like taking several decisions based on photocopies. When we looked into this matter, the NMRA had sent photocopies to the MSD for many years in the past. The owner of Isoles Biotech Pharma himself admitted that he knows the person who is directly involved in this and that they are the big fish. So we ask for these big fish to be apprehended instead of these small fish. If these big fish manage to get saved here, then they will know how to do it again and get away with it. Do not try to proclaim that these criminals have been apprehended after arresting a few small fish.
Four officials attached to the Medical Supplies Division were arrested in connection to the purchase of fake immunoglobulin vaccines and remanded until the 29th of November. The arrested suspects include the Director of the Medical Supplies Division, Dr. Kapila Vikramanayake, the Assistant Directress, the accountant and the stock manager. When this matter was taken up before the Maliga Kanda magistrate on the 16th of November, appearing in court, President's Counsel Kalinga Thissa had challenged the CID. He challenged the CID to arrest the mastermind behind the purchase of the fake immunoglobulin, who is inside the cabinet. It has already been revealed that 2,985 vials of the 3,958 vials of the fake immunoglobulin that was imported has already been administered to patients.
The adverse effects of administering this fake immunoglobulin to patients suffering nervous issues has not yet been ascertained. The government has already paid 4.4 million rupees to the suspects for the purchase of this fake immunoglobulin vaccines. Deputy Solicitor General Lakmini Girihagama revealed in court that this stock of fake immunoglobulin vaccines was imported based on an agreement entered into between the Secretary to the Ministry of Health with Isolis Biotech Pharma.
Women in Tech Sri Lanka was launched in Colombo today.
Women in Tech is a well-known global movement bridging diversity, inclusion and innovation in STEM. The Sri Lankan chapter of Women in Tech was launched in Colombo today along with a highly interactive panel discussion under the theme From Learners to Leaders, Women's Journey in Tech.
As Sri Lanka navigates this economic crisis, addressing the gender gap in STEM field is more crucial than ever for economic growth and sustainability. For real change, we have to start the foundation, that's the education. We need to spread awareness about the diverse opportunities within the tech industry and shift mindset, beginning with parents and teachers. It's a simple yet powerful journey from education to empowerment. Currently, only 34% of ICT jobs in Sri Lanka held by females, according to a study conducted by IPS in 2023. The underrepresentation of women in STEM is influenced by harmful gender stereotypes. Closing the gender gap in STEM in Sri Lanka will require targeted and continued effort in society, institutions, and the operational frameworks of STEM fields. By closing the gender gap, we not only empower women and girls, but we also unleash a wealth of creativity and innovation, as well as necessary inclusion and progress for society as a whole. In line with our theme today, our mission is to comprehensively support women throughout every stage of their journey, starting from school and extending through universities to the professional workforce.
Women in Tech Sri Lanka will hold 3 other events over the next year, including the Tech Ed, which is an educational program targeting female A-level students, where they will be provided insights to the educational and career opportunities within the IT field. Start Your Startup, which is a mentoring program designed to empower female entrepreneurs in STEM, and From Learners to Leaders, which is designed to empower final year female university students in STEM by providing them insights on the various opportunities available to them.
Sri Lanka Customs arrested a man for the possession of a stock of Kush cannabis worth more than 69 million rupees. Sri Lanka Customs said that based on the statement provided by the man who was arrested with the drugs, an assistant customs superintendent attached to the goods clearing section was also arrested. Sri Lanka Customs also seized over 5 kilograms of marijuana and 511 grams of cocaine from its facility located in Blumenthal. Investigations revealed that the drugs were discreetly concealed within the packaging of food containers and was sent to Sri Lanka from the United States of America.
Politics means people. News means freedom. Unleashing the power of human awareness. Breaking the shackles of ignorance. 8 to 8:30, face to face.
This is not what we need to do. We should do better. We should do different.
8:30 to 9, The People's Platform.
US is Sri Lanka's #1 export market as well.
9 to 9:30, Primetime English News.
A very good evening and welcome to this Wednesday's edition of Primetime News on Newsfirst.
Your weekday evenings just got interesting. TV1.
Permanent representative of Sri Lanka to the United Nations, Mohan Pires, stresses that saving lives of people, especially civilians, in the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict is the need of the hour.
It must be appreciated that this resolution, the resolution 2712, is critical. Its passage alone, however, will not save lives. Only action on the ground will, and that is the need of the hour. The aggression must be brought to an end, Mr. President. We need to steadfastly support that position. The present position is well known. We have lost, has resulted in more casualties and more human misery. There is no time, Mr. President, to learn. Let's unanimously agree to work without hesitation put an end to this agonizing tragedy today. Mr. President, we can do it.
The Security Council last week adopted Resolution 2712 by a vote of 12 in favour to none against, with 3 abstentions, by which it called for urgent and extended humanitarian pauses and corridors through the Gaza Strip to facilitate the provision of essential goods and services.
The chief of Hamas said that the Palestinian militant group was near a truce agreement with Israel. According to foreign media, Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh said in a statement that the group delivered its response to Qatari mediators in the ongoing talks. The statement gave no more details. Reports added that the agreement will include a ceasefire, arrangements for aid trucks to supply all areas in Gaza, and transfer the injured to other countries for treatment. Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry says 13,300 people, including more than 5,000 children, have been killed in Israel's campaign. Israel began attacking Hamas-run Gaza after Hamas fighters crossed the border on the 7th of October, killing 1,200 people and taking more than 200 others hostage. 730 OpenAI employees signed a letter calling for the board to resign and reinstate Sam Altman as CEO. The move came after Altman was controversially fired by the board the previous week. Now, Altman was later hired by Microsoft to lead a new advanced AI team. Staff at OpenAI have called on the board of the artificial intelligence company to resign after the shock dismissal of former boss Sam Altman. In a letter, they question the board's competence and accuse it of undermining the firm's work. They also demand Altman's reinstatement. The letter's hundreds of signatories, who include senior staff, say they may themselves resign if their demands are not met. They also state that Microsoft, the biggest investor in OpenAI, has assured them that there are jobs for all OpenAI staff if they want to join the company. Microsoft has hired Sam Altman to power up its innovation in artificial intelligence after he was ousted as CEO on Friday. With its $13 billion investment, Microsoft is OpenAI's biggest stakeholder. And with that, we conclude Primetime News for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Theruni Karunaratne. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and good night.